A leading civic advocacy organization, BudgIT, has released a new report that reveals that a number of state governments in Nigeria still owes workers salaries. The new report says that at least 8 state governments are owing up to 6 months' salaries, and 12 state governments owed workers at least 1 month of salary as at the end of June. Let's cross straight for more on this to Iniobong Usen. He is the head of research and policy advisory at BudgIT. Thanks for coming through. We appreciate you making it tonight on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good evening.
Thank you for coming through. Tell me more a little bit about this report in terms of the number of state governments that are owing and what it really means. How scary is the situation that this report actually revealed?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So following a series of protests across different states in the Federation, and I mean more recently, a lot of state governors admitting to the fact that if the current trend in terms of dwindling revenues from the federal government through federal transfers would continue, these states would be unable to meet their salary and pension obligations. We found it pertinent to conduct a salary survey across the 36 states of the Federation to sort of assess the ability of these states to be able to pay salaries, pay pensions regularly and on time. And so that's what led us to conduct this particular research. And I know we've had a lot of mixed reactions from the states, but we want to assert that we adopted a mixed method, of quantitative and qualitative research techniques to ensure that, whatever we conducted on the field, would go through, acceptable scrutiny. And so getting into the results, a number of states, were sort of in default over 6 months, some between 2 and 4 months, and some between 1 to 2 months. And if you look at the disaggregated data that we put out in an infographic, you would see that for states like Edo, Nasarawa, they were owing, or they are owing local government workers 6 months and upwards. Then for states like Benue, you have state owing workers, for 3 months and above. Then for states like Cross River, I know they put out a statement today to state that they had made payments on the 10th of August. But this survey was conducted as at 31st of July, which recorded that that state Cross River was owing between 1 to 2 months some group of workers in the state.
Okay, so we can trust these figures that you have out there. I'm just going to ask you, some state governments are contesting these numbers and say, look, we're not owing that much, we're doing everything we can. But what really were the facts on the ground in terms of how this survey was conducted? Who did you talk to? How do you verify that, yes, these salaries were really owed?
We conducted, we had a total of 1,042 respondents across the Federation. We tried to get 33 per state to cover the 3 central districts in all of the states. And we ensured that, we interviewed state workers working with state MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, people with the state secondary health institutions, primary health institutions, the high courts. Then at the local government level, we interviewed, civil servants from the local government, also pensioners paid by the local government, and also pensioners paid by the state government. So there was a sort of spread, across the different MDAs and across different local governments and senatorial districts, in all of the states. And we think we got a good number of persons to respond, to a lot of the questions around the salary and pension survey. And in some states, we even went ahead to conduct a qualitative sort of interview with, some workers from the states. We have a number of them on record, voice record, admitting the fact that, the state government in a state like Edo, are owing, that's for local government workers in places like Onwa East, Mesako Central, owing up between 7 to 8 months of salaries. And so we think that we were able to cover the ground in terms of getting the actual sample size to conduct this survey. As a matter of fact, we feel that if one worker is owed of no fault of his, or a certain group of workers are paid, are not paid in full, like in some states, we found situations where some persons responded that they were receiving the percentage of their salaries. I think we are well within our rights to ascertain that these states do owe.
Is there any way through the survey you conducted at Budget to find out the real reason why these salaries were not paid? Or was it just a function of have you been paid, yes or no? What are the other factors you were able to deduct from this survey to find out what really was behind it all?
I mean, even without going to the field, it's clear, right? If you look at the 36 states of the Federation, in 2021, when we conducted our State of States, we found out that, say, for states like Lagos and Rivers states, the other 34 states of the Federation would have to rely on federal transfers to meet their operating expenses. And so if you find yourself in a year where, the bulk of your revenue, right, is going to subsidy payments. I mean, in the first 6 months of the year, the NMPC did not remit a dime to the Federation account. So you can understand that we're dealing with dwindling revenues, increased poverty levels. And in a lot of these states that are largely agrarian, you see that people are not able to go to farms, and I mean, the state government is battling, a lot of macroeconomic issues, political economy issues on multiple fronts. And so much needed revenue to take care of their operating expenses might not be as forthcoming as they used to be in the previous years. And you see that federal transfers, which would often come to the states in terms of their statutory allocation, which a bulk would often come from revenues from oil, are not coming in as much as they should. And so it's not far-fetched to tie this non-payment of salaries to some of sort of the dwindling or the sort of unfortunate economic situation we find ourselves in as a country. It's not only happening at the state level, it's also happening at the federal level. So I think these are inferences we can draw from Nigeria's existing economic position, as the case may be.
Do you get any sense from folks who are owed at state levels that they are desperate and they really need this money as and when due, considering the state of the economy? Did you get a sense from your survey?
Oh yes, in a number of states you find pensioners, persons who have been dedicated to service over a period of 30-35 years, who are not able to access their pensions, and they rely heavily on these pensions to be able to. A lot of them are sort of maintaining one illness or the other, and maybe the awards who they would have thought would be gainfully employed and be able to assist. I mean, with the unemployment rate, you can tell that some of those supports they would often get from their awards, they aren't getting, and some of their retirement benefits in terms of pensions and gratuities, they are not also able to access. We found situations where people who are awaiting pensions, often get to their demise, and so we feel that the crunch at that level, retirees especially are really feeling the crunch as the benefits they would rely on to take care of themselves in their old age are not sort of forthcoming.
Inyoba Hussein, Head of Research and Policy Advisory at BudgIT. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time and wish you and your team all the best.